Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows. Each drop exploded against the glass like tiny bombs. Clara Hawthorne stood in the center of the vast penthouse living room, her designer dress feeling like a costume. The engagement ring weighed heavy on her finger. Ethan Sterling circled her slowly. His tailored suit was sharp enough to cut. His jaw was set, eyes cold as the marble beneath their feet. "Let's get one thing straight," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "This marriage is a transaction, nothing more. Don't expect romance. Don't expect affection. And definitely don't expect me to pretend otherwise." Clara's fingers curled into fists. The press conference still burned in her chest where he'd announced their engagement like a stock merger. "You think I want this?" Her voice cracked but held firm. "You think I dreamed of marrying a man who treats me like a business acquisition?" He stopped inches from her face. She could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. His eyes searched hers, looking for weakness. "Then why did you agree?" "Because my father is dying." The words ripped out of her. "Because our company is bleeding out. Because sometimes we do things we hate to save the people we love." Something flickered across his face, too quick to catch. "How noble," he sneered, but his voice had lost its edge. He turned away, pouring himself whiskey with hands that weren't quite steady. "You'll have your own room. We'll appear together when necessary. Beyond that, stay out of my way. Gladly." The word hung between them like smoke. Clara moved toward the door, desperate to escape, when his phone buzzed on the counter. She glimpsed the name before he snatched it up. "Vanessa." Their eyes met. His expression dared her to comment. "She's welcome to you," Clara said quietly. She was halfway out when his voice stopped her. "Your design work for the Hawthorne interface?" He didn't turn around. "It's brilliant. Even my team couldn't find flaws." Clara's breath caught. It was the first kind thing he'd said to her. Don't get used to it. But when she glanced back, she caught him watching her reflection in the dark window. His expression unreadable. 3 days later, Clara sat alone in her new office at Sterling Enterprises. The space was cold, impersonal, designed to make her feel like an intruder. She stared at her computer screen, trying to forget the hollow feeling of sleeping in a house that wasn't a home. The door burst open without warning. A woman glided in, all glossy hair and predatory smile. Vanessa Carter. Clara recognized her from the business magazines, from the way Ethan's shoulders had tensed when her name appeared on his phone. "So, you're the wife?" Vanessa perched on Clara's desk like she owned it. "I have to admire your courage. Or is it desperation? Can I help you with something?" "Just wanted to see what all the fuss was about." Vanessa's eyes traveled over her with calculated cruelty. "I thought you'd be more impressive." Then again, Ethan never did care much about his obligations. He's always been more interested in what he wants. Clara kept her face blank, but her nails bit into her palms. "And what would that be?" Vanessa leaned close, her perfume cloying. "Me. We have history. The kind of chemistry you don't just forget because of a piece of paper." Her smile turned vicious. "He called me last night after you went to bed. We talked for over an hour." The words landed like a fist to the stomach. "How nice for both of you." It was. Vanessa straightened, smoothing her skirt. "Here's some advice from one woman to another. Don't fall for him. Don't imagine you can change him. Ethan Sterling destroys everything soft that comes near him. It's what he does best." After she left, Clara sat frozen, staring at the door. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Dinner tonight. 7 p.m. Client meeting. Don't be late." Not a request. In order, that evening she arrived at the restaurant dressed to kill. Armor in the form of a black dress and blood-red lips. She found Ethan already seated with an older couple, the Mitchells. Potential investors? He barely glanced at her as she sat down. "My wife. Clara. She's decorative." The casual cruelty stole her breath. Mrs. Mitchell's eyes widened in sympathy. Clara smiled, the kind of smile that cut. In Ethan's learning that decorative things often have sharp edges, she turned to the Mitchells, ignoring the way Ethan's jaw tightened. Tell me about your company. I'm fascinated by your approach to sustainable tech. For the next hour, she charmed them effortlessly. Mr. Mitchell was captivated. Even Mrs. Mitchell warmed to her. When they left, promising to sign the deal, Ethan finally looked at her. Really looked, you didn't have to do that. Do what? Make conversation or save your deal? You're more than decorative. The admission seemed to cost him something. I know. She stood, gathering her purse. The question is, when will you? She left him sitting alone, something dangerous stirring in his eyes. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. She wandered through the penthouse's empty halls, a ghost in her own life. She found herself drawn to Ethan's study by the light under the door. He sat at his desk, eye loosened, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. Papers scattered around him. A half-empty whiskey glass caught the lamplight. Can't sleep either. His voice was tired, stripped of its usual edge. It's hard to sleep in a prison. You think I'm not trapped too? She moved closer, curious, despite herself. On his desk, she saw architectural plans. A hospital, her father's hospital. What is this? He didn't answer, just watched her with something like vulnerability in his eyes. Ethan, what is this? Your father needs a specialist. Someone who can actually help him. His voice was rough. I've been arranging it. The surgery, the recovery, everything. The room spun. Why? Because you were right, he stood. And suddenly they were too close. Breathing the same air. You're sacrificing everything for the people you love. The least I can do is honor that. Clara's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. I don't understand you. I don't understand myself anymore. His hand lifted, almost touching her face, then dropped. The space between them crackled with something electric, terrifying. The moment shattered when his phone rang. Vanessa's name lit up the screen. Ethan's face closed off. The walls slammed back into place. You should go to bed. Clara fled before he could see her break. But as she reached the door, she heard him reject the call. Heard the phone hit his desk with a sharp crack. In her room, she pressed her back against the door, heart racing. Nothing made sense anymore. The man who humiliated her in public was saving her father in private. The husband, who wanted nothing to do with her, looked at her like she was air and he was drowning. Her phone buzzed with an email from the company lawyer. She opened it with shaking hands. The message was brief, clinical, devastating. The merger terms have changed. Sterling Enterprises now requires 80% ownership of Hawthorne Industries. Mr. Sterling insists this is non-negotiable. Papers require your signature by Friday. Clara's blood turned to ice. Everything her family had built. Her father's legacy. Ethan had promised to save the company, not devour it whole. She stormed back to his study without thinking. He stood by the window now, silhouette dark against the city lights. 80%. Her voice shook with rage. You're taking everything? He turned slowly. Clara, was any of it real? The hospital plans? The way you looked at me? She laughed, sharp and broken. God, I'm so stupid. Vanessa was right. You destroy everything you touch. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. She was shouting now, past caring. Explain why you're stealing my father's company while he's dying. Explain why you pretend to care when all you want is power. His jaw clenched. I'm protecting you. By ruining us. By making sure no one else can. The words exploded out of him. The board wanted to dismantle Hawthorne piece by piece. Sell it for parts. I'm the only thing standing between your father's legacy and total destruction. Clara staggered back. I don't believe you. I don't care if you believe me. His eyes were wild, desperate. I care that you're safe. That your father gets his surgery. That when this is over, you have something left. At what cost? My dignity? My trust? Yes, the word was raw, final, if that's what it takes. She stared at him. This man who was saving her and destroying her in the same breath. I hate you, she whispered. Something in his face crumbled. I know. Clara turned and walked away, leaving him alone in the dark. But his words followed her like ghosts. I'm protecting you. In her room, she made a decision. If Ethan Sterling wanted to play games, she'd learn the rules. And she'd beat him at his own game. But first, she needed to know the truth about Vanessa Carter. Clara spent 2 days digging. Company records, board meeting minutes, financial trails that led to dark places. What she found turned her blood to ice. Vanessa Carter wasn't just Ethan's ex. She was a board member of Hawthorne Industries. Had been for 6 months, appointed by Clara's own father before his illness worsened, and she'd been systematically bleeding the company. Clara burst into Ethan's office without knocking. He looked up from his laptop, surprise flickering across his face. Did you know? She slammed the folder on his desk. Did you know Vanessa was destroying my father's company from the inside? Ethan's face went carefully blank. Clara, answer me. Yes. The word was quiet. Deadly. I've known for 3 months. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. And you said nothing? I couldn't. He stood, hands braced on the desk. If I'd told you, you would have confronted her. She would have accelerated the timeline. Your father would have lost everything before I could stop it. So you let me think you were the monster? Her voice broke. You let me hate you? Better you hate me than lose everything. His eyes were haunted. Vanessa's been using insider information to short-sell Hawthorne stock. Every board decision, every financial report, she's been feeding it to competitors. The 80% ownership wasn't about power, Clara. It was about control. Enough shares to vote her off the board permanently. Clara's legs gave out. She sank into a chair, mind reeling. Why didn't you trust me? Because I'm in love with you. The confession ripped out of him like broken glass. And I can't think straight when you're involved. I can't be strategic or cold or any of the things I need to be. So I did what I always do. I pushed you away to protect you. The room tilted. You're lying. I wish I was. He moved around the desk, kneeling in front of her. The night we met, before the contracts, before any of this, you were at that charity gala. You didn't see me, but I saw you. You were laughing at something your father said, and it was the most genuine thing I'd seen in years. His voice cracked. I wanted that. Wanted you? And then your father approached me with the merger proposal, and I thought maybe I could have both. Clara's hands shook. And Vanessa? Has been blackmailing me. Pulled out his phone, showed her messages. She knew about my feelings for you before I did. Threatened to leak false documents that would implicate your father in corporate fraud. I've been stalling her, gathering evidence to bring her down legally. The phone calls? Me telling her it was over. Again and again. His laugh was bitter. She never believed me. Not until yesterday. What happened yesterday? I told her I was filing charges. That I had enough evidence to put her in prison for a decade. He touched Clara's face, fingers trembling. I chose you. Over my reputation, over the easy way out, over everything. Clara's mind raced. She'll retaliate. She already has. He pulled up a news article on his phone. The headline made her stomach drop. Sterling CEO engaged in illegal merger practices. Sources say marriage was sham to avoid federal oversight. It's lies, Ethan said quickly. All of it. But the damage is done. The SEC is opening an investigation. Everything we've built, everything we've sacrificed, it's crumbling. Clara stood abruptly. Where is she? Clara, don't. Where is she, Ethan? His jaw clenched. The office. She's called an emergency board meeting. She's going to try to force a vote before we can stop her. Clara grabbed her coat. Then we end this. Now, we. She turned back, eyes blazing. You're not the only one who can play the long game, Sterling. And you're not the only one willing to sacrifice everything for the people you love. His expression shifted. Something like hope flickered there. I still hate you, she said. I know. He grabbed his jacket. But maybe later, after this is over, you could hate me a little less? Despite everything, Clara felt her lips twitch. We'll see. They walked out together, two broken people about to burn the world down. But in the elevator, Clara's phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Come alone to the board meeting, or your father's medical records go public. Every illness, every diagnosis, every humiliation, choose wisely. Clara's blood ran cold. She deleted the message before Ethan could see. Some battles. She realized you had to fight alone. The boardroom smelled like expensive leather and desperation. Vanessa sat at the head of the table like a queen on a throne, surrounded by 6 board members who looked everywhere but at Clara. So glad you could make it. Vanessa's smile was poisonous. Where's your guard dog? I don't need him. Clara took her seat, spine straight. Whatever you have to say it to me. Brave. Vanessa slid a folder across the table. But stupid. These documents prove your father misappropriated company funds. Millions of dollars, Clara. Enough to destroy what's left of his reputation and put him in prison. Clara's hands remained steady as she opened the folder. The documents looked real. Too real, they're forgeries. Prove it. Vanessa leaned back. Or sign over your voting rights to me. Right now. Then this all goes away. The room held its breath. Clara thought of her father, wasting away in a hospital bed. I thought of Ethan, probably tearing apart his office looking for her. Thought of every sacrifice that had led to this moment. No. Vanessa's smile faltered. Excuse me. I said no. Clara stood, pulling out her own phone. Because while you were busy forging documents, I was busy talking to the FBI. The color drained from Vanessa's face. Insider trading, corporate espionage, blackmail, wire fraud. Clara counted them off. Agent Morrison is particularly interested in your offshore accounts. The ones you thought were hidden. You're bluffing. The boardroom doors opened. 2 federal agents walked in, badges out. Vanessa Carter, you're under arrest. The chaos that followed was swift. Vanessa fought, screamed threats and promises. But her hands were cuffed. Her reign ended. As they let her out, she locked eyes with Clara. He'll never love you the way he loved me. Good, Clara said quietly. Because the way he loved you nearly destroyed him. When the room finally emptied, Clara stood alone, shaking. The weight of the last weeks crashed over her. The door opened. Ethan stood there, hair wild, eyes frantic. You could have died. His voice was raw. She could have had people waiting. Could have hurt you, but she didn't. That's not the point. He crossed to her in 3 strides. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. Not for me. Not for anyone like you sacrificed yourself for me. Clara's voice rose. Taking all the blame? Letting me hate you? That was a sacrifice, Ethan. This was justice. I was trying to protect you. And I was trying to protect you. The words echoed in the empty room. Because despite everything, despite the lies and the pain and the absolute disaster this marriage has been, I fell in love with you anyway. Ethan froze. What? You heard me? Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. I love you, you impossible, infuriating, self-sacrificing idiot. And I'm terrified because I don't know if we're real or just 2 people clinging to each other in the wreckage. He cupped her face, thumbs wiping away tears. We're real. God, Clara, we're the realest thing I've ever had. Even though it started as a transaction, especially because of that. His forehead touched hers. We had every reason to hate each other. We tried so hard to stay apart, and we still ended up here. Here is pretty messy. Here is perfect. He kissed her then, and it wasn't gentle or careful. It was desperate and real and tasted like tears and second chances. When they finally broke apart, Clara laughed. Actually laughed. We're going to have to redo the wedding, you know. The first one doesn't count. Anything you want. His smile was crooked, genuine, though I'm keeping the contract. Proof that we chose each other before we knew we would. Deal. 6 months later, Clara stood in her father's hospital room. He was awake, recovering, getting stronger every day. The experimental treatment Ethan had arranged was working. You happy little girl. Her father's voice was weak but warm. Yeah, Dad, I am. He's good for you. Even if he did steal 80% of my company. Clara grinned. About that, Ethan signing the shares back over to you next week? Once the SEC investigation cleared him, he didn't need the protection anymore. Her father's eyes widened. He's giving it back? He said he only borrowed it, that it was always meant to be yours. Outside the hospital room, Ethan waited. Clara took his hand, lacing their fingers together. Ready? He asked. For what? Whatever comes next. He pulled her close. Together, Clara kissed him, tasting promise and hope. Together. The rain had stopped. Through the hospital windows, sunlight broke through the clouds, painting everything gold. They'd been forged in fire and lies and sacrifice and pain. But what remained was real, was earned, was theirs. Some love stories start with a first glance. There started with a contract and a ring that felt like a chain, but it ended with a choice. The choice to stay, to fight, to love despite every reason not to. And that made all the difference. The end asterisk. Comment below. Would you enter a loveless marriage to save your family? Subscribe for more emotional love stories, romantic dramas, and tales that will make you believe in the power of love against all odds.